today on our program, we have an amazing guest for you. And I love that she's here staring at me from across the table. This is Jane Elizabeth, psychic medium astrologer. She's the author of the book, Messages of the Stars. What is astrology and how does it work?
Well, astrology, pretty much, looks at how the planets are moving through the cosmos, through the 12 major constellations. We have descriptions, as far as the 12 constellations.
Okay.
The 12 signs. And we have descriptions, energetic descriptions of the planets that are moving through the signs. So, we put those all together and it just gives us an amazing sentences and paragraphs of what's going on in our lives.
So how does that actually work? Like, can you show for the folks that are actually watching on our show what a chart looks like?
Yes. So how it works for me, because I do astrology by hand. So I have these blank charts that I put together and I look up in the ephemeris how the planets were lined up when you were born. And I began charting, just plugging in those symbols, into the different areas, where they are positioned when you're born. And as I'm plugging in the planets into the blank chart, they create visions for me, of like what's going on in this particular area, what you're born to do, what's coming your way. So in 2019, March of 2019, the planet Uranus rules lightning. It is the planet that it says it's the awakener. It awakens, when it moves through a certain constellation, through a certain sign, it awakens the impurities, whatever is incorrect. All of these planets, the Dragon's Tail, Jupiter, Pluto, Mars, on Saturn's there right now also. But, so all of this says it's affecting income, money, wealth. It's a cleansing of all things made by man. Okay, a cleansing of wealth, a cleansing of material products and so on and so forth. Yes, and so it's going to continue throughout this year. Everything that's going on that we're experiencing right now with the economy, with health, it's written in the stars. Bottom line, it is written in the stars. This is a time to lighten our load, live with less. It says less is best. I've been saying that for years, ever since best. Pluto has been moving through the sign of Capricorn since 2008. And I've been telling everybody less is best. Lighten your load, and just, So Pluto moving through the sign, Pluto is the planet of death and transformation. So Pluto's moving through the sign of Capricorn, which again, Capricorn rules income and money and wealth until 2024. It's not scary. It's not like doom and gloom. It's not like Armageddon. It's a time of change.
It feels like we're going into a metamorphosis, like a butterfly in a cocoon, perhaps. We're getting ready to kind of change a lot.
Yes, change. Uranus is the planet of change.
It doesn't have to be scary.
It doesn't have to be scary. It just, it's like, knowledge is power.
Right.
So knowing how these planetary energies are moving through the cosmos and how they're affecting us individually, humanly, it helps a lot. It's not a scary time. It really isn't. It's just a time of elimination and living with less. Less eating, less material things. It's like Mother Earth is saying, hey, you've been pulling all these.
Take a time out, guys.
Yes, exactly. Right now, March to April, we've got an alignment in the air signs. Okay, the full moon, the next full moon that's going to take place, in April is going to be a full moon in Libra, which is air. We've got Mars and Saturn that are going to be moving through the sign of Aquarius, which is air. And we've got Venus, which is going to move into the sign of Gemini and go into retrograde and linger in the sign of Gemini for months. So this is called a triangle. Okay. So we've got this trine taking place in the air signs. Air has to do with communication, has to do with the throat, has to do with the lungs, has to do with the nasals. So air. So I was meditating on that and, because they're saying this coronavirus, is affecting the bronchioles, the lungs, pneumonia. Yes. And I thought, okay, so air is activated while we have the sun, moon, and Taurus. Air. So then, I was asking Spirit, okay, so what does that mean from a spiritual perspective? And Spirit said it has to do with communication. It has to do with truth and honesty. So it was like Spirit was saying to me, the world has to be more consciously aware of the words we use, of how we communicate, how we gesture, be consciously aware of polluting the air. Be truthful, be honest, because it all has to do with communication, air, and, just, again, the breath, air.
For sure.
And it was just so interesting how Spirit came through and said, be consciously aware of polluting the air.